Well, joining us tonight, Congressman Jim Jordan, ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, also a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, great to have you with us. Your reaction first to the passage of the $484 billion bill that that Pelosi seemed intent on delaying in perpetuity at one time.
Yeah, no, she delayed it. Schumer delayed it on the Senate side. Pelosi tried to delay it here. But the good news is there's help coming for small business owners and families. Look, I wish we didn't have to spend this kind of money, but when government shuts down the local businesses and small businesses and shuts down our economy because of this virus, you have to help. And so this is the latest version of how we're going to help small business owners and families be able to get through this, so we can get our economy up and running again as quickly as possible, as Mr. Dobbs just as Larry Kudlow just talked about, Lou.
I like that, Mr. Dobbs. I'm feeling pretty strong on that.
I said Mr. Kudlow, but yeah, sweet Lou Dobbs, right?
There you go. That's more like it. Let's turn to this House committee, designed, it seems, once again, to weaponize whatever power the House has to subvert and even overthrow this president. Here we go again.
No, that's exactly right. Remember, the first version was before the president was even elected, when the FBI used the dossier that was completely baloney, Russian disinformation, to go spy on two people associated with the President Trump's campaign. Then it was the Mueller investigation. Then it was the Ukrainian phone call impeachment ridiculous charade they did. And now the latest effort is this select committee to go after the president. Lou, we already have 8 different entities doing oversight as we speak on the CARES Act and the response to the coronavirus. Already 8. But the Democrats say that's not enough. We need a 9th. The 8 are working for the American taxpayers, making sure their tax dollars are spent appropriately. The 9th that they just created, the 9th is going to be to look out for Joe Biden. This is the committee to go after the president in the summer of a presidential election year. That's what this committee is about, and everyone can see it for what it is. We need to fight back on this. They're going to pass it. We need to make sure the American people get the truth when this committee actually begins its work.
When it begins its efforts to, again, subvert this president, maybe try to overthrow him, the effect would be the same in pushing Joe Biden with the American people by this committee. Clyburn was very transparent. He said,
yeah, and it's chaired by Mr. Clyburn, as you say, our colleague, is the biggest Joe Biden supporter in Congress. Remember, it was Mr. Clyburn's endorsement that won South Carolina for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the Democrat nominee largely because of Congressman Clyburn, and that's who Nancy Pelosi announced as chair of this select committee before the CARES Act even passed a few weeks ago. She'd already said, we're going to have a select committee, and we're going to make Mr. Clyburn the chair of it, because this committee is designed to go after the president like the Democrats have been doing for now 4 years.
So is there a strategy? Is there an opportunity for the Republicans in the House, on Capitol Hill, the president, to stop this committee and to end its nonsense? I mean, this is outrageous. Subpoena power, calling the administration, and doing so by a stroke of the pen in the House.
No, it's going to happen. We just got to call it and describe it for what it is. It's another attack on the president. I mean, we can get the truth out there. We can communicate the truth. And that's what we've been doing now for 4 years, every time the Democrats attack. And the American people get the truth in the end. They figured out. They saw it with the Mueller investigation, turned up nothing. The impeachment, ridiculous impeachment investigation showed that there was nothing wrong. The whole Trump-Russia investigation, when it began, the footnotes that have been declassified in the last few weeks, the things we've learned from Inspector General Horowitz, showed us that effort was ridiculous. It was based on Russian disinformation. The FBI got played by the Russians, and they knew they were getting played. They used the information anyway. So each time they try it, it backfires on them. I think this will be the same thing. But let's call it for what it is. This is another attempt to go after the President of the United States.
In another sickening episode led by the Party of Hate. They've become so outrageous. It's beyond description. Comey, Mueller are good friends. We're learning more and more about them as a result of the declassification of parts of the FISA examination, investigation. Your thoughts about what new we've learned and how important is it, and how likely it is now that we're actually, the American people, going to have some accountability as a result of their outrageous crimes against everything this country stands for.
Yeah. Bill Barr has done an outstanding job. His interview a few days back, where he indicated that Mr. Durham is looking into this and the problems that he sees there. So I look forward to Mr. Durham's investigation's completion, which I believe will come this summer, and hopefully the report that he issues. But also Mr. Horowitz has done outstanding work. Remember what he told us 3 weeks ago when he issued this preliminary report on his expansive review of the FISA process, looked at 29 different cases, and in every random sample, 29 cases where the FISA court, where the FBI went to the FISA court to spy on American citizens. Every single one of those, all 29, the underlying evidence in what's called the Woods file was not there. There were problems with every single one. And in 4 of those 29 cases, Lou, in 4 of them, they couldn't even find the Woods file. So the very standards the FBI set up for itself, they weren't following. They knew they weren't following. They were put on notice, and they did nothing to correct it. That's in essence what his interim report told us. So that's how bad it is. So people need to be held accountable specifically with what they tried to do to the President of the United States.
And we need also, I think, a very strong report from Capitol Hill, from almost every quarter, about the relationship between the party of hate, the deep state, and the national left-wing media, because their relationship has made possible this just brazen, bald assault on the presidency and the Constitution. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the mainstream press and the Democrat Party are one and the same. They've been out to get President Trump since, as I say, before he was even elected. Remember, it started in July of 2016. When the FBI went to the FISA court using the dossier that we now know, based on Mr. Horowitz's report, was Russian disinformation. The FBI was on notice that it was Russian disinformation, used it to get a warrant to go spy on the Trump campaign. That's when it started, and it has never stopped. It was manifested in the Mueller investigation. Then you saw it with the crazy Ukrainian phone call impeachment proceedings we went through for month after month. And now the latest effort, as I said earlier, the latest effort is what just passed on the House floor. This select committee that Mr. Clyburn, Joe Biden's biggest supporter in the United States Congress, the Democrat nominee for president, Joe Biden's biggest supporter will be the chair of this select committee, when in fact we already have 8 different entities doing oversight. We got the Oversight Committee itself. We got the Inspector General. In the CARES Act itself, Lou, there was a special commission created for oversight. Leader McCarthy just named our colleague, Mr. Hill, to go on that committee. We have Nancy Pelosi just put Ms. Shalala on that committee. So there's a special commission in the legislation itself to do oversight. But no, none of all that. All that's not good enough. We need a 9th committee chaired by Joe Biden's biggest supporter to go after the president in an election year. That's because the Democrats and the press are never going to stop attacking this president. Never.
And this promises to be the most extraordinary election year in American history. It has all the makings. Congressman, appreciate it. Good to have you with us. Congressman Jim Jordan.